What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 174 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
We got matching haircuts, that's what's up.
Dude, it is so freaking hot. It has been absurd this week. Saturday was like the nicest it's been, and it was like 85. It was great having that be my first weekend off and everything. Went and played golf and everything. It was great. It was beautiful.
And then
there was today where it felt like it was a billion.
It wasn't that bad. It's much worse on like Friday and Thursday.
Today the problem was it was just so humid because we had all that rain come through last night.
You'd think that the rain would kill the humidity because all the water's out of the air. No, it's still there.
Yeah.
Thursday
last week was brutal.
What was it? Was it like 110, 115 heat index after it was all said and done? And then Friday was pretty similar. And it was just so hot and miserable the entire time. And I didn't have air conditioning at work.
To be fair, most of the back rooms I'm in also don't have air conditioning. So
fun story here because compared to like air conditioning, the compressor died.
Yeah, you normally do. But
so they were up there cleaning out the coil for the walk-in cooler. And what we think happened was the water burned out the compressor for the AC unit, which is sitting right next to it.
They broke it.
So we had to go. Our owner had to go buy a new compressor Friday afternoon. After they determined that yes, the compressor is dead, so they went out to Sedalia, picked up a new one, put it in on Saturday. We have AC again, but now that the really hot part of the week is over, it doesn't really matter.
True, that is very, very true. That being said, still absurdly hot, and
we're just barely into summer. We're not even to the hot stuff yet.
Growing up, Dad's rule was we wouldn't turn the AC on until the 4th of July. Never worked. It never worked. We would routinely wait, as soon as he went to work, Mom would go on and flip it on. And then, of course, as we hear him pulling up and everything, we go and turn it off. He'd walk in and go, "It's awful cool in here." And it's like, yep, I don't know. It's just really nice.
I don't know what happened.
We've had the fans running all day or something.
Sure. My rule at home was always Memorial Day weekend was like, that's when you got to turn it on. But I also lived like farther south than most of y'all, so it made sense.
True. True.
So NAIC.
Oh yeah, that thing happened today.
Yeah, that finished up today since we're recording on Sunday.
Yeah, figured it would probably work out best if we waited until the last Regulation C tournament happened, because otherwise we're going to be a week behind, or we're just not going to cover it. And it being an IC, felt it was probably a little important to coverage.
It's also like the last event before Worlds.
True.
So they did announce other regionals.
Yeah.
So we have that. We'll talk about that too today.
Yeah, we can talk on it real quick if I can find the tweet. There we go. So this was from Victory Road. We have 7 regionals picked out here, 6 regionals and a special event. Take that however you will. Starting in September.
With how big they are, they might as well be regionals now. They're just not
at this point. They might as well be. So in September we have Pittsburgh and Curitiba, which is Spain.
I believe so.
Cool.
No, it's Latin America. That's Latin America. That's like Brazil. That's in Brazil.
Yes, that's right. That's the Brazilian flag, not the Spanish flag.
Carter, there's one in Peoria, Illinois. That's actually close.
It is. It's not terrible. That's the worst part.
That's the one where we could drive up. Like
I'm also looking at this I'm looking at this incorrectly. I figured the top row of the picture was, it was in order, but no. So September we have Pittsburgh, special event in Barcelona, and then the one in Brazil. And then we have one every weekend of October. So we have one in Peoria, Illinois, one in Sacramento, one in Lille, and one in Toronto. I'd obviously love to go to Peoria. Problem is I kind of burnt all my personal days already.
I will have a newborn, so I'm not going.
The worst part is when I saw it, I almost messaged you, and I almost said, "So you want to go?"
No.
Knowing that neither of us are gonna be able to.
No, we're not going. Unfortunately, as close as that is, that'd be nice, but I'll have a maybe a week-old newborn by then. So no.
It could be a month too. Could not even be born yet.
I will not be allowed to leave it.
I'll convince Kayla to hold the baby for a week. Just that'll work, right?
Yeah, no. But yeah, it was much fun as it would be to go for that. It'd probably be like DLC time or pretty close to it.
I would imagine so. So from my house, it's a 5-hour drive to Peoria.
Yeah, it'd be like you leave stupid early. Doable. You leave stupid early, and then you get to leave after day one, and then just go back to work. Like
that's. But what if I day two?
Well, then tell your boss you quit.
Man, that is so doable.
It is quite doable. Like I said, I will not be attending, unfortunately. But
I probably won't be either. But man,
you might be able to go. It'd be fun.
Yeah. The worst part is if I do that, I'm leaving like midway through round like 5 to come home because this is still a 5-hour drive.
No, they would start at like 8 o'clock our time, bud.
Oh yeah, true.
Like you'd be able to.
You'd
be home
day one,
if you go all the way through day one and just play, and not even like if you don't make day 2, but you go like 6-3 or something. You'd still be home by like midnight.
And then get up at 4. That sounds smart.
Nah, just stay up at that point.
You're probably not wrong at that point.
Like, you just stay up and work at that point.
Yeah, that doesn't sound completely awful. Play a tournament, stay up, and then work all the next day.
You gotta do what you gotta do for the Pokemon grind, bro.
Oh, man, why did I have to go and get hurt? Oh, well. So, yeah, that's the thing that exists. But,
so, yeah.
We have NAIC to actually talk about as well. Huge shout-outs to Alex Gomez. If you're not following him on Twitter, if you're not following him on Twitter, what are you doing? Like, actually, am I?
Uh-oh.
Before I make outlandish claims, I should go make sure that I am. I'm 95% sure I am. You want to talk about this team while I look him up?
Say, I am following. I have it, like, right here. I'm looking at it. I know I follow Pokey Alex. So this team is pretty much a take on like the D-Knight Chen Pao teams. But instead of Dragonite, we're playing things like Dragapult and Iron Hands. But this also has Solo Dozo, one of my favorite things to be doing. Just like in general, everybody always just like, oh, Tatsugiri, Dondozo, you're gonna play that combo. Dondozo by itself is actually really good. It's still a good mon.
So here's a fun fact for you. Smogon released their usage data for OU this past week, and Dragapult is the second most played Pokemon in singles currently.
I mean, isn't it the fastest Pokemon in the game right now for OU?
Let's see. Bundle's banned, Fluttermane's banned, Eliki's banned. Anything faster?
Well, Dragapult will outspeed Bundle and Flutter anyway. Regieleki is the only thing that outspeeds Dragapult to begin with.
Well, I'm saying, they get booster and all that too. So
Yeah,
but yeah, they're banned.
but you can also just play Scarf.
True, that is very, very true. But I actually really like this choice band set.
I think Dragapult had been slept on the entire time, and it just needed a good push.
Mm-hmm. Terra Blast on your Terra Ghost is really interesting when you also have Phantom Force.
Sometimes you just need the turn one, just get them.
I mean, true, but is there just like a better type that we would want coverage for? The one that comes to mind is like Steel. But what fairies are you hitting that aren't named Fluttermane in this format?
I'm about to say, there's no fairies besides Fluttermane.
So then...
and I'm pretty sure you still blow up most Fluttermane.
True. I cannot imagine a choice band Terra Blast doesn't KO.
Like, it is boosted, it's got extra stab, it's got choice band on it, it's a Dragapult into a low defense Fluttermane, most likely. Like, I don't see a world, even at like a neutral hit, where that survives it. Not unless you just like max with max nature.
Big agree.
Now I want to check it out. Did I tell you that I've changed my damage calcs away from Pikalytics because it sucks?
I actually haven't been... I have never actually used Pikalytics. Mine has always been the Showdown calc, which unfortunately you do have to mess around with it because it auto levels everything to 50. It auto levels everything to 100 because it's a OU calculator, but yeah, whatever.
So I don't use the Showdown one because it doesn't load properly on my browser. So instead of side by side, it loads it top and bottom.
What?
Yeah, I have not been able to figure it out. I've zoomed in, I've zoomed out, I've resized the window. It does not like my browser.
Are you using something weird?
Nope, using Google Chrome.
I'm out of ideas then.
Yeah, me too.
Huh.
You're gonna laugh at this. I don't think there's a world where Fluttermane lives this at all.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So the best way to do it, they have to be 252 plus defense nature, Terra Fairy, and Jolly Dragapult does 92 to 109 with Terra Ghost, Terra Blast with band. If they're adamant, they blow you up. It is a guaranteed OHKO.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Dragapult's kind of cool.
Pretty okay last time I checked.
What's the rest of this team? It's got Sandtomb which is really, really cool. Kind of just like traps people. The solo Dozo works out very well with the rest of the squad, having access to Heavy Slam and Wave Crash.
You didn't even mention Taunt Tinglu.
It's normal. It's not that crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
I didn't even know Tinglu had access to Taunt.
Well, that shows how much you know.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't played this format in...
since it started?
Next question.
Yeah, there you go. But like this Dondozo is a perfect check into Fluttermane because if you are in a 1v1 versus Fluttermane, you can just Terra normal, and they have to hit you with a Moonblast or a Dazzling Gleam or something. And if they happen to already been like specs choice locked into something that they can't hit you with, you win just via Heavy Slam.
Yeah, that's probably good enough.
Like this is the perfect way to take advantage of Chien-Pao's Sword of Ruin. You've got physical Pult, physical Iron Hands, physical Dozo, physical Tinglu, and then Fluttermane and Tinglu to just kind of bulk get through any kind of special attackers of any kind. It's kind of nice.
I really like Terra normal Dondozo.
I think that's really cute. I don't think it's optimal, but I think it's really cool.
I wonder if it ever actually came up.
It probably did at some point. Was it on camera? Maybe not. But I do think Terra Normal Dondozo probably came up at some point throughout their run. They wouldn't have picked it otherwise.
True. It has to be relevant for something, and I'm assuming it's just like
it's
Shadow Ball.
You have two Terra Ghosts. You have two Ghost types, and then you also have like Terra Ghost Genpao. So it's just like your opponents are more likely to probably bring their Fluttermanes and lock into that Shadow Ball just because it's a common type on your squad.
It hits most things for neutral in some capacity, like outside of exactly Tinglu and Qianpiao, and if Qianpiao does Terra Ghost, then that adds another weakness. Yeah. There's a non-zero chance they could lock into it. But also, you have 4 fairy weaknesses, so...
I mean, that's also why you have Terra Fairy and Assault Vest, and you have good ways to deal with Fluttermane on the squad in the form of that Dondozo, just being able to hit it. Or, like we just talked about Dragapult, just punching it really hard and taking it out. What was second? I didn't even see what was second. Oh, it was Palafin Rain. Palafin's back.
Sure.
It took a break and now it's back. Nothing crazy really on this squad, if I remember right.
Yeah,
I mean, Terra Grass. That's Terra Grass Palafin. That's the
weird so part. You win the mirror. Well, is Palafin still running close combat?
No.
Or Drain Punch? Or anything other than mono water coverage?
No.
Alright, well,
Not
I give
really.
up then.
Not common enough, no. Not common enough to matter.
So you can't be put to sleep by Amoonguss? That's the
exactly.
Only thing
that's like exactly what it is. You can't be redirected and or put to sleep.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
When you're running mono water coverage, not being redirected is probably pretty okay.
Yeah, it's kind of important. Especially when Amoonguss is like, what, 40% of the format?
Something like that, right?
Yeah, it's 38.9. That's the number. Just shy of 300 at the event this weekend. That's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so here in third we have, this is just like New Balance, right? This is what people are.
Yeah, this is pretty close to what New Balance is.
It's just like Chi-Yu Gyarados plus Fluttermane Amoonguss, then slap on a couple things, right?
Yeah, in this case it's Tinglu and Iron Hands to kind of just solve a lot of your problems. I like it a lot. I'm not a fan of Specs Chi-Yu. I do like the bulky, nasty plot stuff if you can get away with it. Which most of the time you can when you have things like Amoonguss on your squad. So,
Yeah, take it or leave it.
I do like the Iron Hands. I like this Iron Hand set more than the AV ones. You got like safety goggles, so you don't have to worry about Terra in front of like Amoonguss. You get to keep a lot of your big damage things. You could also Terra Fire if you're afraid of Will-O-Wisp from something. I like this type of Iron Hands more than the Assault Vest, Terra Grass stuff.
I am upset we're not playing Fissure Tinglu, but I also understand the format has adapted a lot, and moving away from it is the correct choice, right?
Yeah, Fissure was cute, and it's just not consistent enough to warrant playing it.
Yep, and that's the the simplest answer is just, well, it was good for a minute, but it's not anymore. So
Victor Medina's team, right? Mm-hmm. Joe brought Jump Bluff back. Not surprised.
I mean, like, this is what, his like second or third cut with this team.
Yeah, Joe UX9 bringing King Gambit and Jump Bluff and Torkoal. I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all.
I'd be very surprised if it's not like what other events is he top cut with this?
He won.
Was it
one
Utah?
of them? Good question. I know he won one recently. He was like in the last couple months.
Let's see what this says. First place, this is Pokemon Go. I don't want Go. I specifically typed in VGC. What? Alright, well, this website's stupid. Off it.
Just go to Victory Road.
I tried! There it is. Where? Why am I struggling tonight, man?
Because you just got off work.
Yeah.
He didn't play in Fresno, if I remember right. He wasn't in Fresno. That's right. That was Emilio.
No one played in Fresno. He won Portland. There we go.
That's right. It's like he was the returning Portland guy. Yeah, he had won in Portland before and then came back and won it again.
Let's see. King Gambit, Torkoal, Flutterbane, Jumpluff, Great Tusk, Chien Pao. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that's the same 6.
Now I'm really curious if we are carbon copy same 6.
Probably pretty close.
Fissure Torkoal?
Oh yeah. Right, did you not know that? Did you not know that?
Let's see. NAIC has assurance over Kowtow on King Gambit.
That makes sense. That's an adjustment as the format kind of adapted.
Great Tusk is carbon copy. Fluttermane is carbon copy. Chien Pao. We have Ice Shard over Taunt, which
that makes sense.
I could take or leave it. And then, yeah. So we have 2 changes of moves. Everything else is the exact same.
Okay.
All right, cool. Good job, Joe. You continue to be really good at this game. Who knew?
As Ro found out this weekend, Amoongus doesn't like assurance from King Gambit.
No, probably not.
It does like 60%, especially if you set like Chien Pao next to it. It can just decimate an Amoongus.
That's absurd.
Yeah. Marco Silva finished 5th. This is another new balance, except instead of Ting-Lu, we have Garchomp in this slot.
Sure.
Doing pretty much the same thing.
Offensive ground type. Yeah. Offensive ground type that's weak to Fluttermane. Yeah,
it's doing whatever Iron Hands was doing, and Iron Hands has become the AV set trying to do whatever Ting-Lu was doing, kind of interact and whatnot.
Sure. I could take that. That seems fine.
Chupa finished 6th. The only team without Fluttermane. In top 8.
Way to be unique.
This is like a Talonflame, Garchomp, Chien Pao thing. This was something that Ro was trying to make work for him, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel great.
Team seems really cool, though.
Yeah, it has.
This seems...
in my experience, it's always struggled against Iron Hands.
Yeah, this seems like something that, given enough time and effort, I would be like inclined to play.
Yeah, like it's got some hyper offensive tendencies with like Chien Pao plus Garchomp, Chien Pao plus Dragonite,
or like
Talonflame
plus Goldango. Yeah. Bundle just goes
bundle.
burr.
Yeah. Like there's some hyper offensive stuff, but this team is very like lead dependent.
Mm-hmm.
So like you kind of have to get yourself in a position to win a lot of the time if you get like a not the perfect lead from your opponent. So
it seems pretty all right, all things considered.
Another Palafin Rain from Judy. Again, Terragrass Palafin. That seems to be the consensus anymore. Is you're playing Terragrass just to kind of help you get your Amoongus matchup some.
Which I do like. I think that is a good.
I do think that's a good
direction
adjustment.
to take it. Unfortunately, you're not going to see Palafin for a while because Urshifu exists now. So like, who cares?
About to say, yeah, Rapid Strike Urshifu's kind of going to take that spot. So the new trio is going to be like, here's my Rapid Strike, here's my Fire type, here's my Iron Hands.
Palafin is just Urshifu at home.
Yeah, kind of. They kind of do the similar things, but kind of do different things at the same time.
I mean, yes, right. Like, Jet Punch is a very powerful move. Having access to a base 60 priority move is very good.
But we get to hit through Protect with Urshifu.
And Palafin is, for the most part, kind of predictable where it's going to swap out at some point. It's going to make a swap to become the better version of it at some point. But for the most part, Palafin also has access to Haze, which, Dozo is relevant. That is something that you have to play with and against, and having an answer to it.
An answer to that's very good.
Can we give Urshifu Haze? Is that too good?
What's
this
this last
immediately shot down.
Iron Moth, Iron Hands, Goldango, Fluttermane, Grimmsnarl, and Gyarados. I
love Iron Moth. I wish it was good, but man, do I love it.
So, we are probably booster speed if I had to guess. Mainly so we can acid spray before we Goldango or Fluttermane.
I'm assuming with plus speed we can outspeed non-booster Fluttermanes.
Probably pretty easily. If I remember right, our base is like 110.
That's pretty fast.
So it's like we're just like barely under, just a little bit under Fluttermane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, base 110. So we're
Cool.
about 25 points under Flutter, so easily could outspeed it with a booster energy if we do it.
Anything else interesting on this? Lefty's Goldango is cool.
The
like
bulky, nasty plot sets, yeah.
It has always been so bizarre to me that Gyarados gets access to Thunder Wave. And I
Thank you, Gen 1.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I know that's a stupid reason, but Gen 1 Pokemon have access to everything.
Yeah,
and that's just how it is.
It's the same reason why there's Blizzard and Ice Beam and Thunderbolt on Chansey and Blissey and all that.
It's the reason that Snorlax gets access to Thunderbolt and Blizzard. Yeah, this team is interesting. I really like the innovation of Iron Moth here, and honestly, I wish of these teams, this is probably my favorite team. Everything else is just pretty generic, Regulation C stuff. And then you also have Joe doing his thing. But
Joe's team is just Joe.
Joe knows what Joe's doing, and everything else is just yeah, cool.
Did you see Carson Confer and Wolf's team? The Flamigo plus Dondozo combo plus Screamtail Perish Trap stuff?
Is it Toxic Orb? No, okay, so we're not
100% doing that.
Got it. Okay.
But you do have access to Perish songs, so you can Perish your Tatsugiri and then swap Dondozo in.
Awesome. That's
how
cool.
you do it. Now, that's how you guarantee it, and not have to wait a bunch of turns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you send Flamigo in. Flamigo gets to copy Dondozo and blah blah blah. It can be very scary if it gets going, and not to mention that just Ting Lu, Gothitelle, Screamtail are very bulky and stally, and you kind of have to play against Perish Song a lot of the time too. So,
I didn't realize it was a relatively clean cut for Top Cut too.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how clean of a cut it was. But yeah, Carson is right there on the edge at 10th. This team would have been really cool to see on camera in top 8.
It would have been. I'm gonna butcher this name. Pan Sai Ming. This team is hot. We've got Rotom Wash.
I've come to the conclusion I need to get me a Rotom plushie, because after seeing I think it was Pokemon Center posted a picture of their booth and everything, and they had the wall of sitting cuties, and there's just the Rotom just sitting there looking absolutely adorable, just a little washing machine.
The Rotom sitting cuties are
looks
adorable.
So out of place.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Rotom sitting cuties are adorable.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I love it, but it just makes me laugh because it's just like, here's a Torchic and like just all these very Pokemon looking Pokemon, and then washing machine.
So let's see here. What do we got on the squad? We have Tinglu with Earthquake, good. We've got Chen Pao doing its thing. We got Fluttermane doing its thing.
What is this Rotom set?
So this is Goggles Rotom with Electric Terrain. I don't know why we're Electric Terrain.
I'm assuming so Orthworm can't be put to sleep.
I guess that's like you unintentionally trigger a ton of Quark drives if you like set this up to prevent the Amoonguss sleep, but then there's a like a bundle or an Iron Hands hiding in the back.
Oh, that's so funny. But like, it doesn't stop Dragonite from being put to sleep because you're a flying type.
That's why you're Terra normal.
I mean, yes, but it does make me laugh that.
I do like that it's Assault Vest Dragonite, so you can like not be locked into extreme speed or whatever, and you
like
can
most people would anticipate. Yep.
Yeah, you could side Earthquake into your Orthworm and heal it up pretty good. Everything that, and there's also just like side Earthquake with your Rotomosh on the field too. That's pretty good. Let's see.
This team is very cool.
Kyle Livinghouse has another solo dozo here. Proud. Mm-hmm. I think it's the exact same team.
Yeah, I was gonna say carbon copy of Alex's team.
Yep. Looking for anybody we know.
We got a couple mouse apes here in top 16 as well, in the form of Zachary Thornburg in 9th and Leonard Kraft in 16th.
I found somebody we know.
Okay, hit me.
Thomas Hayden, 39th. Hard trick room. Very hard trick room.
That is an Oranguru.
Yes, it is. It's also a Hariyama.
I will never forget the 3 days of people wanting to play BDSP and Hariyama being good.
Hariyama and Braylon were so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of names here I recognize. Where did Wolf end up finishing? Yeah, 19th.
He was like 18th or something, 19th. Yeah. I'm mainly looking for people who I know are in the server.
Oh! I hadn't put 2 and 2 together. Oh, okay.
Now the brain's working. Now the gears are turning.
Yes. I saw that.
There's Roller Coaster at 69th. Nice.
That's what I was trying to find. I knew he had day 2'd.
Looking for Zardy. Where are you? There's Chase. I found Chase. Found Tide Tiki.
Yes, Tiki. Chase qualified for Worlds.
Good job.
He was really concerned that his 6 and 3 would put him not getting points. But his breakers were good enough that he was able to get his CP that he needed to qualify.
Awesome.
So huge shout out to him. I know Olivia also qualified. I don't know where she finished.
I haven't seen
88th.
her. I'm about to say I probably just passed her. Yeah,
88.
there she is.
And Chase is at 87.
Right next to each other.
I passed him while I was scrolling, but I just Control F for Olivia. I was really glad to see that both of them were able to qualify, and I mean, both of them have had just awesome seasons, and it's really good to see that it's paid off for both of them.
I hope they travel safely if they end up going.
I would not be surprised if they did. Obviously, I am very excited for them to do so because, like, some people, this is a once in a lifetime event, right? Like qualifying
Yeah.
for Worlds and getting to go to Japan to do so. That sounds awesome.
Like we talked about it earlier, though, the trip to Japan is expensive.
Correct.
So if you're not getting like a travel award of any kind, you got to kind of front all the cost on that, and the flight alone is enough to make some people not want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So looking through, I don't see anybody else I want to talk about really.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that is really standing out to me.
There's a Tyranitar.
I literally was just about to say the same thing.
It's not doing anything new.
Yeah. There's a second Tyranitar.
Oh boy.
This one has Halucha with it. Hold on.
What?
Wait,
what Tyranitar did you find?
62.
I found one at 55.
Yes. And then I scrolled a little farther.
I found another one at 26.
So we are Indeedee Armarouge, Lycanroc Tyranitar, Great Tusk Halucha. This is sick.
Fun fact, the one that's in 55, it's 4 of the same, but they swapped Great Tusk and Halucha for Dozo and Gary.
We're Endeavor's Focus Sash Lycanroc, and I love it.
I mean, so's this one.
Okay, cool.
Actually, most Lycanroc, when you see them, are Endeavor. Like, that's kind of just been, like, the set, is, like, Sash with Endeavor. You outspeed a ton when you have your weather up, so it's just like, I'm going to abuse it because you're going to hit me. I'm going to probably take out something with a good double up with, like, Rock Slide plus Assurance, and then I'm going to Endeavor the other slot of the Pokemon you just sent in, and then Rock Slide again and take everything out.
Yep.
That's about it, really. That's about all, like, the cool, unique stuff. Everything else is pretty standard.
There's a Brute Bonnet here in 70th. It's just hard Trick Room with Azu.
Yeah, it's hard Trick Room with Brute Bonnet and Azumarill and Farafrig.
Solo Ape in 73. No beat up user there. I'm not really seeing anything else here. There's a single Murkrow.
I found a Drifblim.
I found a Gallade.
Glade's cool. I found a mouse with no ape.
I found a Vivillon. Does that do anything for you?
Not really.
Alright.
Hard Trick Room won the juniors.
Oh, I actually hadn't scrolled down that far.
So, these nicknames are adorable and I love them. The Orangaru's nickname is Troublemaker. Torkoal's nickname is Firehose.
I love Firehose the Torkoal.
Hattering's nickname is Blue Hat. And Iron Hand's name is Iron Strength.
I love
these nicknames are
Firehose
adorable.
Blue Hat.
These are adorable.
Awesome.
I love them.
Solo Dozo in second down here in juniors.
That's surprising. Congrats. That's Takumi, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Lycanroc top forward. But, they don't have Halucha, so...
Clearly. There is a Serena in 7th in the juniors. There's an Obama Snow in 6th. Holy crap.
Let's see. Anything interesting up in seniors? There's an Obama Snow in 6th in seniors, too.
The Murkrow stuff is back.
Yeah, Murkrow won seniors. Interesting. Interesting.
Neat.
Okay, well, I don't think I really have anything else to say when it comes to NAIC.
Individual, at least.
Yeah, true. We do have, like,
some stats to talk about, and
yeah.
probably do like our, this is what Regulation C means to me, and then we're done for the day.
Yeah, our closing thoughts on Regulation C. But before that, thanks to Tim and Lab Mouse, we have Common Cores, top Pokemon pairs, etc. All the good, awesome data that Tim has so graciously provided us. And I'm sure I am absurdly bright now because this is a
the
white
screen
overlay.
is white,
Yeah. So let's see. Most common cores of Amoonguss, Fluttermane, and Iron Hands at 164, making up 21% of the field. Swap out that Iron Hands for a Chi-Yu, and we have 106 at 14%. Gyarados is... There's a lot of Gyarados here in Common Cores, and I don't think we talked about a single Arcanine.
Yeah, we did. We just didn't mention it as hard because it's Arcanine. People know it and people talk about it. But the reason you're seeing so much Gyarados is it's the New Balance with Chi-Yu, and that was like the most popular team on the day, like overall across the field. Because it's literally sitting right there at 7th. When it comes to common cores, all 6 of New Balance are sitting right there.
True.
At 53 of the 768 teams were just that. No crazy Mon variations. And that's not to mention like anybody who swapped Ting Lu for something or Iron Hands for something. Like, so when you go and look at just like, there's Amoonguss, Chi-Yu, Fluttermane, Gyarados at 78 copies, and swap that Chi-Yu out for Iron Hands, there's still 78. That kind of tells you that, hey, a lot of these were probably together, which you kind of see when you go down to the 5th slot, and 68 of those are 5 of the 4 that you just saw up above.
Yep. To the surprise of no one, Fluttermane's really popular. 73% usage over the course of the weekend.
So,
the next closest...
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Just rattling off the top 8 here. We have Iron Hands at 40... Yeah, just under 42%. Amoonguss and Bundle rounding out at 38 and 31. Ting Lu, Chi-Yu, Chien-Pao, and Dragonite. You know, the 4 ruinous Pokemon.
Yeah.
Rounding out the top 8 here.
So one of the things I've noticed about Regulation C compared to like last year's when we had Incineroar being so popular, I haven't heard anybody complain about Fluttermane being actually good or actually overpowered.
Like, it's good, right? But
yeah, we all know it's good, but nobody complains about it like they complain about Incineroar.
I mean, I've complained about it quite a bit, but
the thing is, it's just like the general consensus is this Pokemon is good, but I'm not whining about it because it's not impacting my games in a way that allows me to not play the game the way I want to.
My thought process is Fluttermane is an offensive threat, whereas Incineroar is a very defensive threat, and the fact that like you can pressure Fluttermane by punching it, whereas Incineroar it just goes, yeah, I'll be back next turn. I'm out of here. Have a good one. Bye.
If you punch an Incineroar hard enough, it also goes down.
Also true until you get intimidated 6 times and are
who
very
cares about
sad
intimidate when you have Rapid Strike Urshifu?
Fluttermane also doesn't like Urshifu.
So you just hit it and it's fine. But no, it's just something to notice. It's like, yes, this Pokemon has 73% usage, but nobody's complained about it like they complained about Togekiss, or they complained about Incineroar, or Zacian for that matter. And like Zacian also is that high offense Pokemon, but everybody was like, oh, this Pokemon's so strong, we have to play it. why do I have to play this thing? Let's figure out something else. Nobody really tried to do that with Fluttermane. It's like, oh, I don't mind playing Fluttermane. I just get to hit the go damage button and just blow people up. It's just a weird thing that people aren't as vocal about it, but it's still it's probably more egregious than what Togekiss or Incineroar were, because it is a must play Pokemon.
Yep.
Um,
it's really good. Who knew?
Yeah. Looking at common pairs, Amoonguss Fluttermane is the most common pair at 263 or 34%. Right behind it is Fluttermane Iron Hands at 253.
And how many of those were together? A lot of them.
164. So pretty dang near close to at least half of them.
Yep.
If not a little bit more.
A ton of them is the correct answer.
I'm looking at like top Pokemon pairs. Fluttermane is 7 of the 8 top Pokemon pairs.
Mm-hmm.
The one Fluttermane non-pair is Iron Hands Amoonguss.
At 178. That means there are, 12 Iron Hands Amoongus's running around without Fluttermane.
14.
Or 14, yeah.
Math.
My original number was 8, so I'm like, that's not right.
We're making progress towards the right answer. But yeah,
can you tell I'm tired?
Yeah, I can tell. Not surprised by that at all, really. Fluttermane being the most popular Pokemon means it's going to have a lot more Pokemon pairing with it. Like, it's almost double second place.
Mm-hmm.
It's over double of fourth place of what the fourth place used is. So it makes sense that Fluttermane's like, hey, I'm going to slap Fluttermane with everything, and it works out.
Yep.
The rest of the data here is like top items, top Terra types. Safety goggles was the most used item. Assault vest and booster energy were right behind it.
I'm surprised that Terra grass isn't higher. And I think a big part of that is with how popular Amoonguss is. I bet a majority of Amoongus's are Terra water, as well as you have like. I'm sure there's some number of like Palafin that are Terra water as well that want to be able to just put on a ton of pressure. So I'm really curious as to what Pokemon make up a majority of that. 16% Terra water.
I would have to imagine it's a combination of Chiyu.
True. I forgot about
Bundle,
Chiyu being that high. Yeah.
Arcanine, Amoonguss. Trying to think of just like other normal like Terra water
Arcanine, stuff. Majority of Arcanine are safety goggles, so you're already
Terra water.
Amoonguss.
Yeah. So you're Terra water to dodge your weaknesses and all that jazz. And
makes sense.
Also, a lot of where it happens to like your Terra Grass, why Terra Fairy is a little bit higher this time around, because Terra Grass is usually right after water.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Iron Hands that were Grass have migrated to Fire because that Goggles has opened up on their teams because they're playing Gyarados.
Yep.
And so Goggles gets migrated to the Iron Hands, and now I don't have to play Terra Grass. I can play Terra Fire or Terra whatever and kind of pressure things that way.
I'm curious how many of these Terra Fairies are exactly Fluttermane. I'm sure a majority of them are.
A majority are Fluttermane, and then the rest are probably Tinglu.
I'm curious if there's any Fluttermane that top cut that aren't Terra Fairy.
Well, thanks to Lab Mouse and the way they do their data, I can probably find out.
All of them. All 7 of them in top 8 are Terra Fairy.
I can actually tell you real quick.
Sure, man. You can punch the numbers. I'm going to sit here and count them by hand.
There were 510 Terra Fairy Fluttermane. of the 506
510. So that
of the
is
561.
that is 51 Fluttermane that aren't Terra Flary.
Yep.
Is that math right? I haven't completely
Yeah,
lost it tonight, right?
that
Okay.
is that is 51 that are not Terra Fairy. 18 were water, 9 were steel, 7 were ghost, 5 were electric and fire, 4 were grass. There was a flying, a ground, and a normal.
I'm assuming the idea behind Steel is you want to win the mirror, right?
Yes, correct. A lot of the fire ones are that way too.
Mm-hmm. No poison, no nothing weird like that, right?
No, no poison.
I am surprised how high Terra Poison is though. Here at 5% of the field. And, you take what? How many players did we have? 768 times 6 Pokemon.
I would imagine the Terra Poison is a lot of like Pokemon that are weak to.
Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of that is just like I'm sure it's like some Tinglu, some Orthworms. You have probably some Garganacl in there. There's a lot of Terra Poison stuff. Amoonguss is mostly Terra Water, but I'm just trying to think what else would want Terra Poison.
Baxcalibur was majority Terra Poison at 22.
There we go. That makes sense.
There is another one I saw. I'm trying to find it. Garchomp had 23 Terra Poison. That was the third most popular Terra type for Garchomp, actually.
Interesting.
There was another big one I saw. Gyarados had 16 of Terra Poison. That's behind the 65 Steel and the 49 Fairy. What was the other big poison? Tinglu. Tinglu is the other big chunk of poison. Tinglu had 106 Terra Poison.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Combined with the other big ones, and then all of the like 1s and 2s of Pokemon that we have, that likely adds up to your 242.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we covered a lot of this data.
Yeah.
And we covered a lot of these teams. Do you want to talk about your opinions of Regulation C before we get out of here?
I got a little bit of like opinions, but I haven't played the format. Like I didn't get to play Regulation C at all. Mainly just because I didn't find time. I never really got into love. The format didn't change a ton when we added Ruins, it feels like. It's just like, hey, here's these Pokemon we just added on, which we talked about this last week a little bit. Like, the Ruin Pokemon get added into archetypes rather than create new archetypes for the most part. Like, people were already playing Fluttermane, Iron Hands, Amoonguss. Like, that was already a thing that was well established, and you were playing Arcanine in that slot. Well, now you can play Chi-Yu because it's a different fire type.
Yep.
That opens up the door to Gyarados being a viable water type now because water types were hard to come by to begin with. You wanted a water type because Tinglu and Chi-Yu were kind of popular, so you kind of wanted that, and that kind of just opened the door for Gyarados in particular. But I really feel like it's just like you could have given this for Regulation B, just given us the Ruin and the Paradox together, and this would have been the same outcome. Like, at the start. We would still be in this format of, here's New Balance, here's this stuff, here's that stuff. Like, these are all established archetypes, and yes, you know what's going to happen most of the time, so it's easy to calc for and kind of easier to team build in, but you can't build for everything because there's so many things you have to watch out for.
Yep. So, my big thing is, I think the format was fine. I still think I prefer, Series 1 to it just because I historically have liked lower power level formats, right? Like, I mean, that's just my thing. Yeah. And I don't think that's a dig at, the ruinous Pokemon or add the Paradox Pokemon because I have played with them, I've played against them. There's a lot of counterplay to them, but I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more innovation that can be done in a lower power format. I think that there's a lot of things that once the power level is increased, power creep kills off a lot of viable Pokemon.
It kind of depends, I think, on what the lower power dex is. I will say Scarlet and Violet's Pokedex, like regional dex, was actually very high powered for a regional dex.
It was. I will not combat that. When all three of your starters have viable sets to be played in doubles as well as singles. I talking about the usage data earlier. All three starters just now dropped into UU for the first time, from my understanding.
Makes sense.
They're really good, and they can do a lot of damage and can apply a lot of pressure and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like Orthworm didn't really get explored in Series 1 at all, and Dragonite was really popular when Series 0 was on Showdown or whatever, and all
that was like, here's everything, have fun,
mm-hmm.
kind of figuring stuff out.
And so it wasn't a surprise that once Qian Pao got added, Dragonite became really popular again, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think stuff like the Tauros forms are something that could have been more viable in these lower formats, in these lower power formats. I think that there's a lot of Pokemon that were new to the game that didn't really get to see the light of day because of how quickly we went into a more powerful, higher stake, a higher power format. And
I would say part of that's not because of I think part of that is because how fast we rotated formats.
I do agree. I do think that had we played Series 1 for 6 months, the format would have been solved, obviously, as all formats eventually do. But I do think that opening it up and letting it breathe a little bit longer would have been better for these formats.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they dig at how quickly we rotate formats, but I do think it is saying something of what you could actually accomplish with these these formats where it used to be that you would have a game out for 3 years, and in that 3 years you would have regional decks, national decks, restricted format, right? And that was your format for the 3 years. Whereas now our regional decks format was, Regulation D, right? Regulation C.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been cool to have either, I think having these other formats existing longer would have been better. I think we could have seen more innovation even in these other formats based on letting people play with the new Pokemon more before we immediately cut them off of viability, essentially.
Yeah. I will say, I do think part of the reason why we didn't get longer with our first 2 series, they cut our season short, right? We had January to now for World qualifications and Pokemon, whereas TCG had from September last year to now to qualify and whatnot. And so we essentially got 2 or 3 months cut off of our season because our new game wasn't out yet. And then once it did come out, we didn't start actually playing until January.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have our first series until January. And by that time, we would have been into it. If we had started back in November or whatever, we would have had 4 months of Series 1. Instead, we only got 2 because we didn't start right away when we got the game.
It's I'm just casually scrolling through the Paldea Pokédex, and there's there's a lot of things that I'm just like, man, I really wish we could play with this more. And there's stuff like Bronzong. You don't really see Bronzong anymore. There's like Arboliva. Arboliva's a new Pokemon that it had a little bit of daylight, but overall, its time in the sun wasn't very long, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like Colossal saw essentially zero play in this format because, well, the reason Colossal was good was its G-Max move, and you cut that away, and it's suddenly not very good anymore, right?
Yeah, you can't afford to hit it to activate your own
Yeah.
steam engine, so it's just like, man, this really hurts.
But like, I think Low Kicks has some kind of viability. You could have done something with it.
Mm-hmm.
Palmont and Rabska, very unique Pokemon, having access to Revival Blessing, as well as Rabska being, this bulky Trick Room setter.
Ravska got a lot better when we got home.
Very true. Very true.
Getting access to Cosmic Power was huge.
Armaru, Ceruledge, both of them have seen some kind of play in all the formats. The Dunsparce never saw the light of the day.
It was never supposed to.
No, right? Like it is this evolution for people who've
been crying for it forever.
Yeah. Farigiraf was fine, and I think it would have been better in a lower power format, of course. Grafaiai never really did anything. I also don't think it was designed to really do anything, but
You put it in the game where you gave Grimmsnarl a parting shot, the Pokemon that probably didn't really need Prankster parting shot. So immediately a lot of what Grafaiai was going to do was gone because it's not unique to Grafaiai.
Yep. So then it's just like it's relegated it's relegated to like a gimmick, right?
You get to doodle Slaking or whatever and take away its ability, and then it could hit people, and that's cool. But yeah, there's a lot of Paldea Pokemon that didn't get a chance to play. I think part of it is just design. A lot of their design power, I think, went into the Paradox stuff. That's why they feel so powerful. They're also just all head and shoulders above all the other Pokemon in the game, outside of the Pseudo Legends that we got. Which, by the way, we got 5 of them to start.
True.
So it's immediately the game's power levels was sky high. So anything you design has to have a base stat of 510 or 520 to actually be viable. Or it has to do something that nothing else is doing. And
like Dozo.
Like Dondozo. Dondozo's got Tatsugiri combo, and you get to power up and do that stuff. Palafin gets to turn into a base 600 stat Pokemon. So you get to play it and it do stuff. That was a lot of the issues, I think, with the Series 1 and Series 2, Series 1 format in particular. Which is kind of why I'm glad we didn't sit on it too terribly long. Mm-hmm. Because it would have just been here's my Garchomp. Here's my Hydreigon. What are we going to do? We're going to sit here and Terra Steel in front of each other, and we're going to kind of look at each other because we can't hit each other for super effective damage anymore.
Yep.
And it just kind of devolved into this looking at Pseudo Legends across from each other, or looking at Dondozo and not having a good answer, and it just kind of died out from there.
So yeah, end of the day, Regulation C was a fun format. I enjoyed
watching it,
playing it. Yeah,
I enjoyed watching it a lot,
and I think it made for good content to be watched, right? So, end of the day, it was good. Not my favorite format of all time, but one that in 3 years, looking back at this game, will be probably one that we remember and actually talk pretty fondly about.
Now we get to play in for Regulation D.
Correct. So everyone sleeve up their Urshifus and their Elekis.
Get your Eleki and your Urshifu and your Landorus and all that stuff, and get ready to play with some high-powered Pokemon because that's what we're getting.
You can probably leave your Rillabooms at home.
Yeah, that's not gonna help you any. There'll be people that do like grassy terrain shenanigans with it, but
Halucha's back on the menu, boys.
No grassy glide kind of ruins what Rillaboom's doing.
Yeah,
unfortunately, Amoonguss is still going to be the best grass type.
Yeah,
if you want a grass type at all at this point.
There. I don't think there's really any kind of argument there.
Trick Room's going to be kind of popular because everyone wants to play with Ursaluna and Cresselia and all that jazz.
I'm going to save you the hassle. Trick Room's way better if you don't play Ursaluna.
I think you can get away with playing it if you have.
It's not bad. It's not. I think a big thing is that people want to play with the new toy, and so they're going to.
I think we'll get to the point where people will have to have an answer for Ursaluna, and people on those Trick Room teams playing Ursaluna will have an answer for Urshifu. And that's just what it'll be. Because Urshifu is the one thing that stops the Ursaluna from doing its thing. And if they Trick Room team just plays like a Regieleki or heck, even just like a Tornadus, just to hit the Urshifu and make it sad, not a whole lot going on there.
Big agree. There's a lot of really interesting innovation that's going to happen in this format as well.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see. And I'm excited to see it at Worlds.
I'm about to say Worlds might be the only format for it we get to play of it.
Very true.
I don't remember when it ends.
Depending on when we get Regulation E and the DLC, I'm assuming.
I need to see when Regulation D ends, because that will answer the question of, are we playing it at any other events? True.
Now that we have other events actually scheduled.
So any September event will be Regulation D. Regulation D ends September 30th. So the Peoria, Illinois event will be the first Regulation E event.
Sweet. Which means we're probably getting DLC in September.
Probably. I would say September, early September, maybe late August.
Mm-hmm.
For Pokemon, fall is this weird gray area. just like spring is June.
Well, look, they got it out eventually.
Apparently, early spring is now June, guys. Just heads up.
It's fine. You just wanted to complain. But I think it's about time we get out of here and
wrap it up. Night. Yeah, I'm about to say it's about time to wrap this up.
So, as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening to us rant on for another hour and a half or however long we've been playing. As always, if you want to, follow us, you can do so over at Twitter, lrlessons.com. You can do so for myself and Carl at Mr. Missouri25 and at Musical. You can go ahead and follow both of us over on Twitch as well. You're Musical VGC on Twitter, right?
Yes, correct.
Cool. And you're Musical over on Twitch. I'm Mr. Missouri25 everywhere. If you see that on basically anything, that's me. to put it very, very simple. So yeah, if you want to check us out on Discord, come and hang out in the community Discord. It is fantastic. You get to have fireworks shot outside your house at 9:30 p.m. So that's cool. I'm really glad I'm going to go try to sleep in front of that.
Have
fun. Yeah, community Discord. That link is always down in the show notes. And go ahead and check out the website. That is lrlessons.com. It has our calendar of events and all that good stuff up there.
Which right now is empty because there's nothing
going
on.
Look, man, we had our draft league start up, and so that.
So yeah, now we're focused on that, and there's nothing happening for a hot minute. I might do Reg D events on Limitless just for the fun of it. I don't know yet.
Who knows? For anyone going to Worlds, they want to get some practice in, right?
Yeah.
And you can check out the merch page while it's still up. Go and check that out. It's up on the website. And if you want to support us, you can do so over on mini Discord, we have subscriptions. Shout outs to Smeargle for being in that $10 tier is there. And you can do so over on patreon.com. And as little as like 50 cents an episode, you can help keep our lights on. And we really do appreciate all of our supporters. And we want to give a special shout out to our $10 and up patrons of Johnny Bravo Sr. and Papa Swish. So that is going to be it for this week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening over on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio platforms, make sure you hit the subscribe button and share with a friend. It help us grow and continue to be seen by more people.
We are 15 away from 600 subscribers,
which is just absurd. I genuinely, when we started this, never thought we'd see 100, let alone 600. And here we are. So,
yep.
Huge shout outs to everyone for subscribing. And until next week, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We will see you then. Have a good one. Peace.